This is Stephen Cooley with Mortgage Advisor Tools. I am here with Chris Mace at Mace Innovations. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mr. Cooley. Thanks for having me.
Tell everybody what Mace Innovations is. I was impressed with how long you've been doing this for actually quite a long time.
So yeah, we've been consulting for a long time and did some Encompass stuff, and then we just kind of went into one single niche with our product called Workflow, which was I kind of made that with my mortgage company that I started, and we were achieving crazy numbers like 8 files a day in underwriting, no overtime. This was not, I've been called a liar by this, they're gonna, oh, well, you're just doing conventional easy loans. Like, no, these are DE, LAP, FHA, VA, USDA. Um, And we have, our receptionist was doing the disclosures. We're doing 300 plus loans a month. We had one and a half closers, up to two. And so our numbers were just through the roof. I was like, I'm going to start selling this to other people. And then we started doing that. We started our hockey stick that sounds like you were doing. And then there's some market uncertainty around the ICE news. And so we've had to try to navigate that to tell people like, hey, we're not going anywhere. But I think there's a lot of, uncertainty. So, but yeah, what we do is we basically put guardrails on mortgage and we basically like mortgage for monkeys. So like you can't mess up. And so I want to draw docs and it's like, oh, well, it's not, is your MI there? Is your MI correct? Or, hey, do you have a discount point? It's not, do you have discount? Is the exact number right? So, we all but, I think my previous mortgage company last year had 3 tolerance cures for the year. Um, and so, and loan leakage is pretty much nothing. So just trying to make the loan process as perfect as it can be without any input from others.
Is it Encompass only?
It is.
Okay. What's the biggest thing or problem you're solving for your customers or that you're running into right now in the marketplace?
So I think a lot of things I just talked about there. What is this like? Hey, they have pre disclosure QC or pre doc QC, and then take everything that's on that checklist and just make that just be part of a system, right? Instead of, or any of those things that I just told you that could be human error, like, oh, was the MI correct? Did you hit the get MI button again? Did you hit it again? This change, did you hit it again? Like MIs, just basically, we have never lost money on MI before ever. Like period, and like that's unheard of for most companies, and so it's just that kind of mindset where it's just, my closers don't, how can you do so many closers? How many can do so many closings? Well, as most closers start alone, they have this long damn checklist. It's just like um, max cash to close does not exceed. And then they put a number in underwriter's backspace, put it, minimum borrower investment is, earliest closing date is, and all these things that are just like, none of that gets checked at our company or anybody that uses our stuff. It's just, if unless it tells you, it's just taken care of. So your closing checklist is no longer this, it's this, and it's usually like, look at identity, look at things that like we're not trying to cover those kind of things. um and yeah, just making it impossible to mess up.
Well, impossible to mess up is a tall order, so it's pretty considerable. Most of the time, does this impact loan officers at all? I mean, is there a message for them around some of the things that you offer?
Oh, dude, probably my favorite call I ever received, and they're now a client and they'll know who they are, was they called and said, "Hey," and he's kind of cocky, and he'll respect this, and he goes, "I don't even know who you are, but I'm trying to recruit this branch, and they're saying they won't come over unless they have your software." And I was like, "Oh, well, let me do a demo." And then he went from like kind of upset that he had to contact me to like, "Hey, this could be good for my whole company." But like loan officers love it, and I know of a company that's actually using it to recruit people from rate, actually. And so LOs go from, hey, I call them COVID LOs, where they're so busy that, they had Janet and John kind of finishing the file after they started it, right? And so they kind of have a support staff. And so instead of, when they go to run underwriting, it'll tell them every single thing that might pop up when they go to run underwriting. You've got alimony twice for a borrower. You've got a ghost entry. You don't have a linked liability. You don't have all these things. So they literally cannot mess up. And so there's a real-time screen. It's just like, oh, you have this, or you have alimony twice for a borrower. You need to lump them. AUS won't recognize it. Okay. Double click it. It just takes you right there, flashes it in red. Okay, then you fix it. All right, next error. Double click it, and you basically you just get rid of the red. So it's like, how do I request docs at this company? I want to just send disclosures. Don't worry, Steven. Go to this screen, get rid of the red. You can't fuck up. So like, just double click, get rid of it. And so there's no red, it's going to be perfect. But the LOs find, it's funny whenever the new early came out, I had my previous company reach out and be like, hey, we want your help because the LOs are saying, well, that wasn't in red and it didn't tell me and that wasn't in red. And I was like, I didn't think we'd reach this day when LOs were getting reliant on the errors. But that's kind of where it was. It was just like, hey, you didn't have a bumper for me. And that's why I had to keep running AUS and getting stopped. So,
Yeah. So you've been in tech for a long time. I mean, what do you think is the next evolution in mortgage technology, especially as this year gets, continues to be weird?
oh man, you're going to put me in one of those speculative boats that a lot of these guys are in right now.
Yeah, if you had a crystal ball, if you had a magic wand.
Um, I think that the regional LOs are going to be very important, the local LOs, but I do think there is going to be a shift to um more of a DTC style or hyper focused regional. Like I think we're gonna see that gap kind of grow more. And as far as like, we kind of talked briefly about AI, like I think AI is going to make a lot of aspects more efficient, but I don't see true replacement happening this year. I think that's where a lot of people jump to, and I think AI is just a expander on your skill set, right? So if like Steven, if I said, hey, go use Claude Sonnet, the newest one, it's amazing and it does deep think, and I said, go use it to write an app. Well, you wouldn't do it as good as me, but like you could also be like, hey, Mace, go use Claude Sonnet and have it do some SEO stuff. And I'd be like, oh, well, I fumbled my way through it, but it's going to amplify your skill set, right? So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm also one of the people that, you know, uh, people were saying like, this was in 2023. They're like, how is AI disrupting the mortgage industry? And I was like, it's not. Like anybody, it's not yet. Like, and I think this year we'll start to see it. But like we're finally going to start seeing it happen a little bit. And most of the AI has just been buzzwords. I've asked people like, hey, what model are you using? And they're like, we built our own. And I just, you didn't.
It did. That must have been expensive. Well,
And it
no,
was like, and you're selling this product when you built your own model. I think you should be selling that.
no, I mean, I did a panel on this, and a lot of, according, it was like a McKinsey research that most companies would sunset their AI projects just because of the lack of return and complexities and cost to manage and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. I think, I hope AI does continue to evolve and people figure out how to use it more effectively, because yeah, it's not going anywhere really.
Well, it could be something like OCR, right? Like now, if you try to go sell OCR, people are like, I was burned 14 times. I don't want to talk. I don't want to mess with it. I ended up doing so much follow-up work that it wasn't worth it. Well, now we're at the point where it's like, I feel like the grapes on a vine are ripe for picking. We're not too early, not too late.
Perfect. Well, man, I really appreciate your support of Mortgage Advisor Tools. That's a really big deal. And so, but yeah, please check out Mace Innovations on Mortgage Advisor Tools. And this is Chris Mace. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you for having me.